Well, if you think about what we're trying to do in this council, we're trying to maintain or improve our services, trying to balance the budget. But the key bit in all of that, even if we're deploying lots more technology, is the fact that we have people. And it's our people, our staff, who are the key to making all of that actually work. So clearly the role for HR is helping the council to be able to manage its workforce in a way that helps it deliver the council's outcomes. So maintaining and improving services, being able to balance the budget. And that means, of course, things like making sure our policies are appropriate, that our recruitment, retention policies are appropriate, making sure that we get the best workforce development in place, making sure that this is a good place to want to come and work and to stay and work. And I think that's the very broad but main challenge that HR is going to face, has faced over the last few years and is going to continue to face over the next few years. Well, I guess the biggest one is basically, how do we achieve this? Helping to make Warwick District a great place to live, work and visit. That's fundamentally what this organisation is about. That's what we're trying to deliver on behalf of all of the communities. That's what our politicians want us to deliver for them. What does that mean in reality, though, given all of those? That's easy to say, but quite hard to deliver. What does it mean? Well, I think it means we've got to have great staff. Without that, everything else will fail. We can have all of the technology you want, you can have all of the policies that you want, but actually none of that will really count unless we've got the right people with the right staff, with the right behaviours and right skills, in the right jobs, because we often find that people are pretty good but aren't always in the job that best suits them. So that's a real challenge, is how do we lead an organisation facing quite a big challenge to deliver? That's the outcome, and we must never forget our outcomes. How do we do that with limited resources? How do we do that when we can't offer the top salary? How do we do that when we live in an expensive area for people to live? How do we do that when it feels like there are all sorts of constraints upon what the council can and can't do, and what it can afford to do and what it can't afford to do? And that's the leadership challenge. How do we find the best optimum place amongst all of those challenges to deliver this? So what does the future of HR look like to me? Clearly, given that we're in a different environment than we were 5 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, increasingly councils are having to think about being much more commercially minded, entrepreneurial minded, and clearly HR needs to follow that as well. So it needs to have those skills not only to help the council, the rest of the council, to change, to adopt that approach, but it itself needs to adopt that commercial and entrepreneurial approach to the way it delivers its service in support of the rest of the council. That's probably the biggest thing, but it's also about keeping its eye on that external environment all of the time. Things are very fluid at the moment. Who knows what's going to happen next? And HR needs to be keeping its eye on what might be going to happen next. I've been working at Warwick District Council now for 20.5 years, and I've just celebrated, if that's the right word, being Chief Exec for Warwick District for 11 years. So more than half of my working life has been spent working for Warwick District Council. My wife says that if you were to cut me open, I'm rather like a stick of rock which says Warwick District Council written through it. So, greatest achievement? I think there's lots of things I am proud of, both my direct involvement and actually what the council's achieved. Overall, kind of outcome, it may not be perfect, but I do think that Warwick District is a great place to live, work and visit. I suppose I can be cheesy and say that Leamington's just been voted one of the happiest places in England to live. Regularly quoted as being in Sunday Times best places to live, whether it's one of our towns or some of our villages. But it's an ongoing work. It's like the Forth Road Bridge. The painting job never ceases. But overall, what am I most proud of? I think what I'm proud of is the fact that we have been able to surmount all of the challenges that have been thrown at local government generally. And here we are, still delivering services, still improving our services, still delivering for our community, despite the fact that we've got less money than we had, despite the fact that we've had to radically change the council, and there are fewer of us working for Warwick District Council. Despite all of that, we're still able to deliver quality services. And if you think about it, given the challenges, well, I think that's something not just for me to be proud of, but for everyone who works in Warwick District to be proud of.